Muy buenos días a todos. Muy puntuales, una buena cantidad de asistentes de los que se habían inscrito. Les agradecemos mucho a este webinar sobre el Pacto por los Plásticos y cómo lograr acelerar la transición hacia la economía circular de los plásticos, enfocado hoy en el caso de las empresas de comercio, en el retail. Hoy tendremos la participación de RAP del Reino Unido, eh, que nos apoya, digamos, en la coordinación del Pacto por los Plásticos en Colombia. Ya vamos a hablar un poco de qué es el pacto con todos ustedes. Y la participación de dos casos de éxito de otros pactos por los plásticos en el mundo, que son empresas, digamos, de comercio del mundo del retail. eh, para que vean, digamos, cómo la importancia de la participación de las empresas de retail en los pactos y cómo ayuda, digamos, a acelerar esa transición que todos queremos hacia la circularidad de los plásticos. Les doy la bienvenida, gracias por la puntualidad. Vamos a empezar con una breve introducción a qué es el Pacto por los Plásticos, seguido de la importancia de la incorporación de empresas de retail en los pactos y los dos casos de ejemplo, seguidos cada uno de ellos por una breve sesión de preguntas y respuestas del público, ¿correcto? Bueno, entonces damos comienzo. El Pacto por los Plásticos es básicamente una estructura de trabajo colaborativo que aterriza ese concepto de la nueva economía circular de los plásticos que surge hace ya algunos años en la Fundación Ellen MacArthur en el Reino Unido, y de la mano de RAP, con quien estamos orgullosamente coordinando el pacto en Colombia. Empieza a difundirse como una metodología básicamente de colaboración entre los diferentes actores de la cadena de valor para fortalecer esa transición hacia la circularidad, muy centrada, digamos, en envases y empaques plásticos, porque son unos flujos muy importantes de plásticos de un solo uso, digamos, o de muy rápido vida útil, y luego que se convierten en residuos, parte de la problemática de contaminación por plásticos en el mundo. El objetivo de los pactos por los plásticos es precisamente reconocer que se vienen haciendo cosas, pero que hay que acelerar esa transición hacia la circularidad. Hay que acelerarla no solo pensando, como viene pensando las estrategias de responsabilidad extendida del productor, centradas únicamente en reciclaje. Hay que pensar también aguas arriba con ecodiseño y con la reincorporación de ese material reciclado hacia nuevos envases y empaques para hacerlo sustentable en el tiempo. El Pacto de Colombia es el número 13 a nivel mundial. Hay pactos ya en todas las continentes, en diferentes regiones del mundo. El de Colombia es el segundo en Latinoamérica y el cuarto en las Américas, unidos a Canadá, Estados Unidos y Chile. Y básicamente busca que diferentes actores de la cadena de valor, tanto fabricantes de resinas plásticas como de envases y empaques, como los productores que conocemos en términos de REP, eh, la cadena comercial, y por eso la importancia de este webinar, y los transformadores de plásticos trabajen unidamente en diferentes iniciativas y proyectos que ayuden a acelerar esa transición. Tiene 4 ejes estratégicos de trabajo, que para el caso de Colombia fijamos unas metas al 2030, y es lograr que todos los miembros que se suscriben al pacto eliminen los plásticos problemáticos y innecesarios que se definan dentro del pacto. em, que todo lo que se ponga en el mercado ojalá tienda hacia modelos de reuso, o que en la práctica esos materiales plásticos sean reutilizables y para algunos nichos de mercado compostables. eh, a incrementar la tasa de reciclaje efectivo, muy de la línea, digamos, de las responsabilidades extendida del productor, pero como ustedes ven es solo una de las 4 metas y ejes estratégicos, y una súper clave que es esa circularidad cerrada de volver a reincorporar el material reciclado postconsumo hacia nuevos empaques y envases. Ese es el modelo del Pacto por los Plásticos, y hoy pues vamos a ver cómo es importante contar con miembros de, eh, del retail o del comercio dentro de ellos para habilitar muchas iniciativas y proyectos en torno a estas metas y ejes estratégicos. Em, el pacto, digamos, es administrado por SEMPRE. Simplemente hay una orientación técnica de los proyectos y un acompañamiento, digamos, a metodológicamente avanzar. Se crean unos canales de comunicación, el pacto tiene unos reportes anuales de avance. Se consolida la información de todos los miembros e iniciativas que se vienen desarrollando entre el parque y se promueve, digamos, la articulación de esos proyectos colectivos. Somos conscientes que actuar de manera colectiva genera mayores avances que la suma de todos los esfuerzos individuales. Se están buscando permanentemente, digamos, oportunidades para cofinanciar y fortalecer esas iniciativas y hacerlas más grandes y de mayor impacto. El pacto a hoy, digamos, cuenta con estos diferentes miembros y aliados que ustedes ven en la diapositiva. No voy a profundizar más en ello, pero de la cadena comercial ya está Jerónimo Martins con su marca conocida ARA, vinculada, y quisiéramos con esta divulgación que estamos haciendo hoy, pues vincular a muchas más empresas del sector comercial. Sin más preámbulo, doy la voz a Carolina Fernández de RAP del Reino Unido, quien nos va a hacer una pequeña introducción de por qué la importancia del sector comercio dentro de los pactos en el mundo. Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias, Mario. ¿Puedo compartir?
Claro que sí.
Porque no... ok.
Dale.
Ya me sale, sí. Ahí estamos. ¿Ven mi presentación?
Correcto.
Sí, correcto. Perfecto. Pues muchas gracias, Mario, y muchísimas gracias a todos los que nos acompañáis hoy. Estamos encantados de conversar con vosotros porque, bueno, como ya ha dicho Mario, el sector retail es un sector muy importante al que necesitamos y queremos el pacto. Por eso hemos hecho este webinar con el objetivo de explicar un poco más cuál es esta importancia, mostrar un poco más la experiencia de otros retailers en otros países en los pactos. Bueno, aquí tenemos un mapita de los pactos que hay ahora mismo en el mundo y otras actividades de plásticos en las que trabaja RAP. No voy a parar mucho en esto, simplemente es un poco para mostrar la experiencia que RAP trae al Pacto de Colombia, la experiencia que ya hemos tenido en todos estos países, trabajando tanto con la Fundación Ellen MacArthur como con el World Economic Forum y de la mano de SEMPRE con la que queremos beneficiar al Pacto de Colombia. Aquí, bueno, pues solo darles una idea, hay muchísimos retailers en todos los pactos del mundo, que son 14 ya, esperamos que muy prontito 15, pero bueno, he seleccionado aquí no solo de los más grandes que son conocidos por todos, pero también otros que son más nacionales y que son también muy importantes. Tenemos, bueno, Walmart es signatario en países como Canadá, US, también tenemos Lidl, que es signatario en muchos países, Aldi también, Sainsbury, Morrison, Tesco, Cooperative, algunos les serán más familiares que otros porque son más internacionales, como ya he dicho antes, Spar también, luego otros que son, como digo, más nacionales como Pick and Pay, que es de Sudáfrica, Loblaws, que va a estar aquí con nosotros, que es de Canadá, Wolbos, que está en Sudáfrica, también está en Australia, que nos van a acompañar hoy aquí también, Asda, etc. ¿Y por qué están los retailers en los pactos? Como ya he dicho antes, tendremos a Loblaw y a Woolworth que os van a dar un poco cuáles han sido sus motivaciones para unirse al pacto de los diferentes países. Yo solo quiero contaros un poquito qué es lo que hacen los retailers en los diferentes pactos o en los pactos en general. Tienen un rol muy importante porque los retailers están posicionados en la cadena de valor de manera que están en contacto directo con sus productores, con las marcas también, con los proveedores, y pueden influir en el diseño de los envases y empaques. Aquí he puesto un ejemplo, no voy a ir mucho en detalle, les podemos pasar la presentación para que lo lean, pero por ejemplo en el UK Plastic Pact, uno de nuestros signatarios, Cooperative, trabajó con el grupo de Umbia en un piloto en el que bueno, dieron solución al problema de las bandejas multimaterial de PET, cambiándola a monomaterial. Este piloto resultó muy exitoso y se ha exportado con otros supermercados, y ahora este proveedor solo manufactura bandejas de monomaterial. A través del pacto también, bueno, los retailers son también importantes porque están en contacto con los consumidores, con lo que pueden influir su comportamiento, influenciando cambios de comportamiento. Por ejemplo, en temas de incrementar la recolección, que es uno de los grandes temas, digamos, de los pactos también. Tenemos ejemplos de trabajos que se han hecho dentro de los pactos. En Sudáfrica, miembros del pacto como Pick and Pay, Spar y Woolworths, que son todos retailers, se alinearon y han lanzado máquinas de clasificación y recogida de envases, reverse vending machines, en tiendas seleccionadas, y se está incrementando mucho la recolección, sobre todo de PET y de HDPE, de PET y HDPE, perdón, no sé por qué lo digo en inglés. Y bueno, pues está ayudando, como ya digo, a incrementar esa recolección. En el pacto de UK, los supermercados también se han alineado para la recolección de flexibles. Hoy en día tenemos ya más de 6.000 puntos de recolección en supermercados en todo el país, lo que está adelantándose a esa recolección municipal que se espera que suceda en 2027. Pero como ya decimos, no hay mucho tiempo que perder y los supermercados han tomado el liderazgo en este sentido. También los retailers están en contacto directo con, como ya hemos dicho, con los productores, pero con los consumidores. Entonces se pueden alinear también con esos productores de marcas para influir en comportamiento a mayor escala. En UK se ha hecho también un piloto con Asda y Unilever con el apoyo de Grab para estudiar la participación ciudadana en estaciones de refill, y a partir de ahí se han diseñado intervenciones de cambio de comportamiento que esperamos se puedan escalar. Por último, también, pues los retailers también tienen muchísimo potencial de reducir plástico dentro de sus propias operaciones. Aquí tengo algunos ejemplos, como en Aldi, que pretende eliminar todas las bolsas de plástico para finales de este año. Morrison, gracias a un estudio que se hizo en el Pacto de los Plásticos de UK, hecho por RAP, en el que se mostraba que la fruta envasada en bolsas de plástico no se conservaba por más tiempo, sino que había otros factores como la temperatura, el transporte, etc. Pues hay supermercados como Morrison, hay más también, que ya están eliminando esas bolsas de plástico innecesarias. Pick and Pay también están eliminando las bolsas de sus operaciones. En Clicks, que es un retailer de Sudáfrica, también más de cuidado personal, productos de cuidado personal y farmacia, han reducido los tonelajes de etiquetas de PET y PVC en las botellas de PET considerablemente también. Y ya para acabar, bueno, dejarles solo con 3 mensajes, que es los retailers tienen, como ya digo, un rol muy importante mediante esa posición que tienen en la cadena de valor, y el pacto les proporciona esa plataforma colaborativa para que puedan trabajar con el resto de la cadena de valor, incluidos sus competidores, para encontrar soluciones a la circularidad de los plásticos, soluciones a problemas comunes que pueden trabajar, como ya digo, con sus propios competidores. El Pacto por los Plásticos produce esa evidencia, discusión y guía para que luego la industria, los comerciantes tomen la acción alineada en temas de reducción y diseño, y el pacto también logra escalar el impacto al diseñar esas iniciativas colaborativas como los ejemplos que les he dado. Y aquí ya le paso la palabra a Mario para que presente a nuestros ponentes de hoy. Muchas gracias.
Perfecto. Muchas gracias, Carolina. Muy importante lo que dices. Si ustedes ven el enfoque de cada actor es diferente dependiendo de cómo se relaciona con los otros actores de la cadena. Estamos muy acostumbrados a trabajar tal vez en Colombia colaborativamente en torno a las marcas, a los productores de bienes de consumo masivo, dado que tienen las responsabilidades legales en torno a la responsabilidad extendida del productor, y hemos visto, digamos, algunos ejemplos de ello tratando de asociarse a cadenas comerciales para precisamente fomentar esa recolección de la que hablaba Carolina. Pero hay muchas otras formas de influir desde el sector comercial, como ustedes lo vieron con los claros ejemplos que Carolina nos traía, genéricos, y que ahora vamos a profundizar. Vamos a, primero que todo, a mostrar un tutorial. Las conversaciones que vienen serán en inglés y no sabemos si todo el público domina el inglés, entonces Alexis nos va a compartir una pequeña guía de cómo activar la traducción simultánea con subtítulos al español, por si ustedes lo desean activar, y entramos ya de lleno a las dos presentaciones de caso de éxito. Alexis.
Yo les voy a compartir la imagen por el chat. La verdad es, pues, les voy comentando, es simplemente en los tres punticos donde dice más, al lado de la cámara, le dan en idioma y voz y le dan a activar subtítulos en directo. Al igual les voy a compartir la imagen y ahí lo van a poder tener en el chat. Dale, Mario.
Perfecto. Bueno, entonces, sin más preámbulos, vamos a dar la bienvenida al primero de los conferencistas. Em, Perdón, 2 segundos. Y 2 segundos que me enredé por acá. Va a ser primero, ¿me confirmas? Loblaw, ¿no es cierto? De Canadá.
Sí, exacto.
Nos acompaña Vlad Rebelón. Le doy la palabra y con mucho gusto, si necesitan alguna ayuda para compartir, me comentas. Vlad, glad to hear from you from Canada, and we are keen on getting to know your case study from Loblaw.
Soy colombiano. Soy colombiano
Ah,
también.
bueno, perfecto. Maravilloso.
That's all I can say in Spanish without sounding like a gringo, by the way. So I apologize for that. Okay, give me 1 second and I'm gonna share some content. Just before I get started, I'm kind of curious. You're using the subtitles on Teams that can translate? Yes, I'm seeing some.
Yes.
Is it working? I'm just going to keep talking. Hello, my name is Vlad. You can say 5 words in confident Spanish, and then beyond that, it sounds really messy. Okay, I'm going to assume it works. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep us, excellent, thank you. I'm going to try to keep us a little bit on time in case there are any questions. But with that, thank you all for having me. I'm super excited to be able to speak in front of this audience about the journey that we have had at Loblaw around bringing the golden design rules into our organization, and more importantly, about the great work that we've been able to achieve by working as founding members of the Canada Plastics Pact. And I'll get into that in a little bit, but the value of participating in the Canada Plastics Pact has been huge, because it gives us an opportunity to talk to our entire supply chain stakeholder group, whether it's our suppliers, whether it's our packaging vendors, whether it's suppliers of our own suppliers downstream. And it's able to help us talk about the packaging commitments that we have, in terms of, this is not just a Loblaw initiative, this is a global vision, and we support that vision. And so it's about setting this new ideally this new future-friendly standard for what good packaging looks like. And so today I'll talk a little bit, obviously, about the way that Loblaw has made these goals and has aligned in support of the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, and then some of our journey in actually implementing that across many areas of our business. So with that, hi everyone, I'm Vlad Rubalin. I am half Colombian. I came to Canada when I was 9, and so for the most part, I speak like a 9-year-old's version of Spanish, and never in my wildest dreams did I think I would be talking about technical plastics stuff in front of everyone. And so I'm not going to try to do that in Spanish. So before I get into the plastics content, I just thought I'd set a little bit of context as to who we are in Canada. And so Loblaw Companies, in simple terms, operates the largest retail grocery network in Canada. We have our 3 primary operating divisions are Shoppers Drug Mart, which is all about pharmacy and healthcare. And so this is about 1,500 retail stores across the country that predominantly are around beauty, healthcare, prescriptions. And since we acquired them, we've also introduced a very focused food retail offering into that space. But then, of course, we operate the largest grocery chain in Canada across a number of different store names. Loblaw is one of them, but we operate a lot of them. Other than that, we also have a number of internal operating divisions around our wholesale business-to-business operations. Joe Fresh is our retail clothing brand that is sold across our entire network. We, of course, have a number of financial services under the name for President's Choice. And as a company, given our physical footprint, we also operate a lot of real estate in Canada. The numbers here are a little bit outdated. They're from 2001, but notionally, the size of our business is kind of there to be understood. We're just over a $50 billion Canadian dollar a year organization, and we operate over 2,500 stores across the country. The group that I work for specifically is called Loblaw Brands. And so this group is responsible for everything to do with the product development of the brands that we own. So we call them control brands or private label brands in Canada. I'm not quite sure what the Spanish term may be. But within our portfolio of brands, we have some of we have 4 of the top selling brands in Canada. And so if people recognize anything from the slide, President's Choice, No Name, Life Brand, or Farmers Market, those are all controlled by the group that I'm a part of. And what's really great about this is we also have some of the most influential brands in Canada. And so President's Choice is ranked among some of the biggest global names in technology, like Facebook, Microsoft, Google. So this is a very strongly recognized brand for us Canadians. All of this to say is that as we think about the impact that we can have as an organization on the environment, we recognize that we have a huge responsibility to being part of the good. And so we have made a commitment to reduce the impact of our plastic packaging on the environment. And so for this reason, we have set a very ambitious goal that all of our plastic packaging will be recyclable or reusable by 2025. And so effectively, this means that wherever we direct or we guide the decision making about the packaging we use, it will align to the global vision set out by the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, by the Consumer Good Forum Golden Design Rules, and more importantly, by the local Canadianized version of the Golden Design Rules that have been developed through our Canada Plastics Pact. So far, so good? Okay, let's keep going. And so to drive that vision, we have created across the enterprise a packaging action plan that focuses on the things that we all know and talk about, the reduce, reuse, recycle. But a big part of this is around making sure that we are very intentional about the decisions that we make about plastic packaging. And so the default should be we should reduce as much of it as possible. We have a really great example here where we have some fruit, some vegetables. We have a pack of 3 cucumbers that historically has been sold using 4 pieces of plastic. Each cucumber is individually wrapped, and then the 3 of them are wrapped with a 4th piece of plastic. And it's insane that we just get into that behavior. And so now it's about holding everybody accountable for making better decisions. We have explored opportunities for refill models. And of course, recyclable is the biggest part of this. It's around implementing guidance for better packaging so that it is more compatible with the recycling systems across Canada. And so that ideally it can default these materials to circularity more easily than they would default to going to landfill. And so we want to get to a place where materials are more valuable if they can enter an efficient recycling stream, so that it can kind of lead to this never-ending cycle, ideally, of materials that can continue becoming packaging once again. And I think that what's going to become really important, and again, this is where working with the Canada Plastics Pact is really beneficial, is this whole idea of reframing or educating everybody around what this new mindset about packaging actually means for them. Because if you ask 10 people what recycling is, you're going to get 15 different answers. And so there's a lot of re-education that needs to happen so that customers understand what this new world of recycling means. Our vendors, our suppliers also need to understand the role that they play in that. And so it's a big thing to do. So the breadth of packaging formats in our stores is a very unique challenge, because I mentioned we have a lot of control brands under our portfolio, but we effectively have products in every part of the store, in every category in the store. And so the size of our portfolio is over 10,000 products, just my group, 10,000 products. We source globally. And so the variety of packaging that is used to bring these products to market is huge, whether it's bags, bottles, rigid containers, whether it's packaging applied to packaging. And so it's challenging if we think about this just as ourselves, but the Golden Design Rules have made this much more approachable, because they've defined a very technical and pragmatic guideline to use. It's not just saying go make it better, it's saying this is what defines better, and this is what we have all agreed to implementing. So the good news about this is we have started this work long before the Consumer Goods Forum and Ellen MacArthur Foundation set up these targets. This example here, the bottled water, goes back almost 15 years, and this is a really good example where we had an opportunity to work with our supplier in this category to introduce the very first mass retail version of 100% recycled content. So the bottle itself is made from recycled PET, and the supplier that we buy this from is somebody that is actually fully vertically integrated, where they receive collected PET from the municipal collection systems, they process that material, and they create bottles in their facility using that fully recycled content. And so it's a really good story, because we're able to demonstrate that this is what great looks like. It's a very specific example, but it is something we were able to say it's a fully circular category, and it is ideally something that is able to continue feeding the collection systems. So we led the way in promoting circularity, and now we're applying that thinking to the rest of our products. To support that, we have created a lot of education, both for our own employees, for our suppliers, for their suppliers, and obviously for our global reach. And so we have created a very detailed technical guide for everybody that has a role to play in bringing our products to life. And of course, it incorporates the Golden Design Rules, but we have expanded this to also include other packaging materials. Because as we work through the Canada Plastics Pact, as we speak with recyclers and collection system owners and all of those stakeholders, we want to make sure that our decisions ultimately help them operate a more efficient business. And so paper is also a misunderstood material in Canada, where we think it is green, but a lot of the things that you do to that material could prevent it from being properly captured or recycled. And so this guideline is the thing that now everybody in our business refers to as kind of being that great toolkit to help them understand what the right decisions are. On the Golden Design Rule specifically, what we find very valuable here is again, it gives us a very specific way of thinking about our products. And so for us, as we look across each of the rules, it helps us to understand what exactly do we need to do for the products that are impacted by those, and how big is that problem across our portfolio. And so early on, my team created a bit of a simple guideline to say, as we go from 1 to 9, here is what the rule actually requires us to do. So the rule isn't saying eliminate packaging, the rule is saying make these better decisions. So on PET, it's saying avoid colors, and it's saying avoid doing something to the material that prevents it from being detected or that reduces its value once it's captured. And it gets us to a place where I can very easily explain to anybody in our organization what the rule needs us to do without them having to be plastics experts. What I find very beneficial with that is honestly this idea that we can help people feel comfortable with something that seems scary. We can help them feel comfortable with what that actually means for them. And so if I'm talking to a manufacturer or if I'm talking to somebody in finance, we can very easily get them to understand what we have to do will impact you specifically in a very focused way. It's not about, throwing everything into chaos and doing it and trying to pick up the pieces after that. I'm going to go through these quickly because we do have some examples of the work that we have done. But where I want to spend a little bit of time in is if we think about the golden design rules, they say they provide guidance in a way that requires you to understand your existing packaging. And so for us, the first thing we had to do was actually collect a lot of information. So I mentioned we have about 10,000 active products. One product could potentially use 4 different packaging components. So a bottle of water, like what you see here, has the bottle, has the cap, and has the label. And before this initiative, we probably would have only collected information just for the label. So just for this thing here that we are creating a piece of artwork for. We are printing a label, but that doesn't tell us enough about whether or not it is aligned with the golden design rule. And so for the past 18 months, my team has been responsible for going out to all of our suppliers and collecting a lot more information about every packaging component, and then reviewing that very carefully against what the golden design rule asks us to do. And so we've gone from a place where we may have only collected 10 pieces of information, and now we are collecting probably 100 pieces of information just to be able to make the proper assessment and understand where we are already aligned with the rule and where we have to convert something so that it's considered compliant. Yeah. So once we collect the information, then it gets into the whole work of actually converting products. And what's good about this is we again have done some work before the golden design rules were published, and some good and some bad. So for example, the sausage here, the meat product, we converted, we moved away from polystyrene, from the white thin styrofoam trays. We moved them over to clear PET trays. And overall, that's great. We're working to move those into recycled PET as a next step, but that's good. It does mean, though, that we have to also find a recyclable solution for the plastic overwrap that you use to kind of package it all together, because in Canada, that plastic is made from PVC, which is under Golden Design Rule 2, it's considered not recyclable, and it's a very just problematic material. Another example, though, where the Golden Design Rules in Canada Plastics Pact was very helpful, it was in understanding the bigger impact of our decisions. And so mushrooms, like what you see here on the right side of the screen, historically we had those packaged in a black polypropylene or black high density polyethylene tray. But either way, black is considered a non-recyclable material. And so we thought, great, as long as we're getting out of black, we're good. And so we converted it to this brown PET. And of course, the Golden Design Rules say PET shouldn't be anything except clear. And so we did maybe like a half step toward good, but now we have to do an additional step to actually get the color out of that entirely. So this is, again, we moved quickly. We moved before fully understanding the impact, but I think overall it was the right decision, and now we just have a little bit more work to do. On the produce side of our business, we import a lot of bananas, and historically bananas, as they sit on a pallet, use these, I don't know if you can see it on the picture here, but use these black plastic corner inserts to protect the side of the pallet from collapsing if something hits it. But again, black plastic problem. So we work with our suppliers to actually convert those into cardboard. And so all of this is fully recyclable within the Canadian stream. We've actually been able to not only look at the bad plastic, but just get out of plastic entirely in that sense. And across the board, again, I mentioned 10,000 products. My team has done a lot of conversions last year and into this year, and we have started to transition a number of categories already into what's considered recyclable. And so a lot of our products that come in bags or pouches or resealable packages have started to convert into, I guess the technical term is monomaterial polyethylene-based bags. It's a lot of words, but happy to say that a lot of our supply base has found solutions and has started to produce with those at scale. We have removed black plastic across most of our products because a lot of the closures of the lids on bottles tended to be black. It was just the default color that vendors use. Now we're moving into other materials. We have removed drinking straws from drinking boxes like the ones that you see here. And again, we've continued the transition away from polystyrene trays over into PET. A big part of our business is also around home goods, decorations, outdoor goods. It's not food-based, it's more like general merchandise products. And so the barbecue that you see here is just one of our examples for where we have removed plastic entirely from the packaging. And most of the protection or the cushioning materials is made from paper or paper fiber. And so for us, the journey continues. We are about 50% complete towards our goal. We have just under 2 years to get the rest of it done. Fingers crossed. But what I'll continue to repeat is this notion that working alongside our industry partners, working alongside other retailers and other manufacturers through the Canada Plastics Pact has been very helpful for us to get the momentum that we have today. If it was just Loblaw, again, we're the largest retailer in Canada, and if it was just Loblaw, we still wouldn't have the amount of support that we have today. And so it's been very beneficial that through the pact, we're able to align and get agreement on that clear definition of success. We're able to share solutions. We're able to ask for support as well, because in the working group that I co-chair, we sit with packaging manufacturers, we sit with food manufacturers, and so we can have the conversation around, hey, we are trying to solve this one very specific challenge, but we're trying to do this in a space that sells 100 million units a year. And so how do we get there? How can we test something? How can we run a pilot program? How can we help and share the knowledge so that we can accelerate the progress? So as I mentioned, still lots of work to be done. I think we take a lot of pride, if you can't already tell, we take a lot of pride in the fact that we get to be part of the solution. We get to encourage our partners in the industry to also move in that space. And hopefully we can all get there by 2025. That's it for me. I don't know if I sprinted through that or if we want to leave some time for questions, but I'll take it. And again, I can understand Spanish perfectly. I just can't respond in Spanish. So.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Vlad, por tu presentación. Excelentes ejemplos de lo que se puede hacer y lo que se puede potenciar desde una cadena comercial. Tenemos 2 minutos quizás para alguna pregunta del público. Si alguien quisiera hacer una pregunta, Vlad, en inglés o como nos dijo, entiende perfecto español.
En español también.
Pudiera levantar la mano y le damos la palabra, por favor. Me parece excelente la forma como mostraste el potencial de replicar en la cadena de suministros de un supermercado las buenas ideas y los buenos pilotos con resultados de impacto. ¿Alguien desea de los participantes hacer alguna pregunta?
Yeah, we've got one.
Hola.
Mario,
Sí.
¿cómo están? Mucho
Bien,
gusto.
gracias.
Yo hago parte del grupo Éxito. Nosotros somos también un retail en Colombia y mi pregunta, pues primero felicitarlos por todo lo que hacen. La verdad, yo soy fiel seguidora de lo que ustedes han
Gracias.
venido haciendo en ecodiseño. Nos han inspirado mucho como en el camino que nosotros estamos hoy tomando. Y quería preguntarte si ustedes son fabricantes de esos productos marca propia en los que hacen ecodiseño o si tienen que hacer como una intermediación entre, nosotros acá le llamamos maquila, no sé en inglés cómo se podría traducir maquila, pero si
Ujú.
tienen como alguna intermediación de empresas que les fabriquen esos productos y cómo han visto los retos con ellos, porque nosotros hoy tenemos más de 114 proveedores solamente para la parte de alimentos y vemos que es un reto enorme pues
Ujú.
tocarlos como a cada uno para que nuestro portafolio como que agrupe estas, como estos
Sí.
lineamientos de codiseño que tenemos como compañía.
Okay, so just to make sure I'm understanding the question, it's around do we manufacture our own products or do we work with other suppliers, and how has the journey been to bring them along to understand that? So the first part of that question is we don't manufacture anything ourselves for private label or for marca propia.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
For that, we work with a network of global suppliers, and we have, similar to you, we have close to 2,000 suppliers. And so for us, the first challenge was in educating all of them, because again, if you ask a room full of people what recycling is, you're going to get more answers than there are people. More interpretations. And so globally, we had to sit everyone down and say, guys, like this is what we mean. So that the toolkit that we created was the first step in getting there. And what we noticed is we thought we expected that they were going to be a lot more resistant, that they were going to push back and just say, guys, no, we can't do it. There's no way, it's impossible. We expected that. And what actually happened is a lot of them came forward to say, thank you for doing this early, because individually they were all thinking about something moving in that direction. And so to have a client like us ask them in a very clear, standard way, this is what we want, it gave them the ability to accelerate those plans. And so the big suppliers were on board, and the little suppliers were waiting until the big guys got there, because obviously the smaller suppliers don't have the scale to change standards, and so they need to wait until things either reduce in price or until they're just the only option available. And so overall, we have their support. It has been a lot easier than we thought it would be, but it did require a lot of work to happen behind the scenes to make sure that there was a very clear definition of success, and that there was a very clear way to collect information, to review that information, and then to make it available back to them. And so if anyone is thinking about this work, I would not underestimate the amount of safety that you have to provide supply partners. It doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means, like, assume you have to do more of it.
Muchas gracias, Vlad, por la respuesta, y a Paola por la
Gracias.
pregunta. En orden de seguir con la agenda, tenemos una nueva presentación agradeciendo a Vlad y a las personas que querían preguntar más. De pronto al final, si nos queda un tiempito, podemos responderlas, o si no, con muchísimo gusto a nuestro correo y podremos hacerlas. Solo para cerrar, eso mismo que Vlad menciona, el pacto es un sitio perfecto, porque imagínense a esos proveedores abordados por diferentes retailers, por diferentes comercializadores, pidiéndoles diferentes formas de abordar el problema. Eso es lo que queremos unificar y trabajar colectivamente. Doy paso ahora a Don McFarlane de Woolworths de South Africa. Él es analista senior de empaques en Woolworths y nos va a hacer la siguiente presentación. Welcome, Doug McFarlane from South Africa, Woolworths. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. My Spanish is non-existent, so I'm not going to even try other than buenos dias to everybody. It's late evening in South Africa, and I'm going to try and share my presentation with you. Let me see. see if Carolina, do you have a copy of my presentation?
Yes, I do.
I think maybe
We are now seeing it.
I can
Is
see
it?
it right now. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
let
working.
me is it working? I'm not sure if I got the right one up.
Okay, do you want me?
Please.
I can
I
put
think
it on
I think
my
maybe best if you share, and then I'll just indicate to you when to shift the slide.
No problem at all.
Thank you, Carolina. Okay, thank you. So good morning to everybody in Colombia. Woolworths is a South African retailer, and we have stores in 11 other African states. We have about 500 stores. And we are what we refer to as a premier retailer. So we don't have low-end goods. We have a specific target market, which is the middle class to upper market. And that's where we sell our stuff. So it's high-end food packaging and high-end clothing that we supply. Carolina, if you can change the slide. Thank you. So our journey into sustainability and becoming a responsible retailer really started in 2007. It was a formalized way of documenting to future fit our business and to work towards the goal of becoming the most or one of the most responsible retailers in the world. In 2018, to help us and assist us on this journey, we joined the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. It's UK based. We reported our plastic usage specifically, and it was to align ourselves with our vision of having zero packaging entering the landfills into South Africa. So this is how we operated. On the 30th of January in 2020, we became founder members of the South African Plastics Pact. At that stage, it was the 6th global plastics pact in the world. And the reason why we joined the Plastics Pact was primarily because of all the school fees and the scars we had of trying to formulate a sustainable journey on our own. And I want to say to everybody that's present here today, this is not a task that you attack and journey on by yourself. It's full of potholes and technicalities and things that you need to negotiate, which you just cannot do on your own. So we needed to align with somebody that was going to assist us, somebody that was going to show us the way to do this other than ourselves, because the situation with plastic and the situation with packaging in general hasn't evolved because of Woolworths. It evolved because of many players in this market. And so we would be arrogant and foolish, like we were in 2007, to think that we could change it on our own. So that was the primary reason why we joined the SA Plastics Pact. Even having been members of Ellen MacArthur, like I say, it was merely a porthole to document our plastic usage and what we were doing. It never offered us the assistance so close that we could go on this journey together. So it's the collaboration and the knowledge that is key that we found in the SA Plastics Pact. Thank you, Carolina. You can change to some pictures I have on the next slide, which shows the roadmap that the SA Plastics Pact developed for us, taking us as a retailer on the road, coupled with the targets that we had, and how to get there, how to formulate this with the assistance. There was many workshops, and you can see one of the workshops there presented in the picture, and that's me in the striped T-shirt right at the back of the class. So we attended many of these workshops throughout COVID, online, and later on in person. And the third picture, that is our Minister of Fishery, Forestry, and Environment in South Africa. So SA Plastics Pact give us the opportunity to speak and to meet the decision makers in South Africa with regard to the law, because they have all the connections that they can introduce us to these people. And then finally, like I say, we have the opportunity to workshop and collaborate with all the pacts in the world. And that has been amazing, from Chile to Australia to Japan to Europe. We have access to that information and that technology and that know-how, so that we don't have to pay those school fees any longer, so that others who've been on the journey via the SA Plastics Pact can tell us about what it's been like and what they've done. Because after all, we all agree, everywhere you go to, without a doubt, wherever you speak to, there's one thing that people tell you about shifting the needle with regard to responsible packaging usage, and that is through collaboration. And the SA Plastics Pact allow us and affords us that platform and that opportunity within the framework of the law to collaborate with other retailers. Thank you, Carolina. You can change the slide now. Some of the achievements that we worked on and some of the advantages of joining the SA Plastic Pact was they know the recycling landscape in South Africa. They know it intimately. They are our go-to place to find out, is this being recycled? How is it being recycled? Where? Because in South Africa, like many other third world countries in the world, much of the recycling is done through informal waste pickers, collectors that scratch in your bin, collectors that go to landfills that extract recyclables of it. And we run a multi-billion South African rand recycling industry, all on the backs of informal waste pickers. And so we need to design something unique and different, and SA Plastics Pact understands that. And so we can tap into that knowledge. We are able to speak directly to recyclers because they are members of the SA Plastics Pact. We, through the identification of problematic plastics, we were able to guide and decide which tasks we are going to tackle as a responsible retailer first. We understood through the SA Plastics Pact that polyethylene was the most recycled plastic in rigid as well as flexible format in South Africa. And so we shifted our move from multi-layer structures like coffee bags and many of the other multi-layer structures where there's different kinds of polymers joined together through laminating process. We shifted to monopolymer structures. And as at today, we have shifted 450 tons of multi-layer structures into monopolyethylene structures. And I just came back from Interpack in Germany, and it is acknowledged as the largest shift of multi-layer structures in the world that we in South Africa had accomplished through the assistance of the SA Plastics Pact. We are huge fans of the pact. We dedicate a lot of time to it through working groups, and we understand the importance of having a collaborative partner like they are. We tackle collective challenges in South Africa now. So they identify what the next milestone is and what the next shift is to be made in South Africa. And as a group with all other South African retailers, we tackle those. Collaboration and knowledge is key. And that is what we found in the SA Plastics Pact to make this massive shift, because glass and paperboard and PET and metal packaging is all widely recycled in South Africa, collected through the informal sector. Our biggest challenge in South Africa is multi-layer flexible packaging structures, which we use a lot of. And globally, it's showing that this is the biggest sector and the largest increase in the world. So that is the sector that we concentrate on in South Africa. Thank you, Carolina. You can change to the next slide. Again, some pictures of some of the, and I have a separate presentation and I'm welcome to share, and I will share it with Carolina and share with any of the members in Colombia to show some of the 450 tons of packaging that we have shifted out of multi-layer structures into mono PE structures and laminated PE structures with and without barrier, so that you can learn from it as well. I show you some of our sauces, which is hot filled at 85 degrees C. It is shelf stable. It's got low levels of preservatives, and it's shelf stable for 12 months. And we shifted that from a silica oxide coated polyester polyethylene laminate into all polyethylene with a lick of EVOH. Some of our coffee, and I chose 2 Colombian blends for us today. Our coffee, and coffee internationally, is traditionally polyester, aluminium foil, polypropylene or polyethylene. That is the traditional coffee structure. We've changed it into a all polypropylene, and now soon we have just completed our trials of all polyethylene structures. We're getting the same shelf life. We're getting better oil inclusion in the coffee. We're getting a better taste of the coffee since we shifted out of the aluminium foil. So this is huge wins. And our products, that's me at Interpack, our products are being exhibited internationally because of the shift. And I want to say today that collaboration on this journey to be responsible, to change and make a shift, especially in the flexible packaging, which is a massively growing market, can only be done through collaboration, can only be done swiftly if you lock into those that have worked the journey with and uncovered what the secrets are. And I'm happy to share those with you. I will share it with Carolina. Carolina has my email address and contact details. If you want to have anything and know, oh, Don, we want to change coffee, we want to change sauces, we want to change this product out of multi-layer structure, what have you done? I will give you the full construction, how we done, what the road has been like, and what to look out for. Carolina, the last slide, please. Thank you. We as Woolworths, we see ourselves as making the difference in South Africa, but it's so much easier to do it through a collaboration like the SA Plastics Pact. Thank you, Carolina, and thank you, people in Colombia, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Don, for how an inspiring presentation on things that can be done collaboratively. You spoke 2 or 3 bullet points, very important. The strong collaboration and knowledge through the plastic pacts, the way to reach the decision makers as a collaboration initiative, and the global network access. I think it's amazing, and the examples that you gave us that help us break the imagination, the business as usual, as the case of coffee brands. It's impressive. We have like 2 minutes now for questions from the attendees. Si alguien tiene alguna pregunta para Don, es el momento, con mucho gusto, de los participantes. Pueden levantar la mano y les damos el micrófono. Ok, parece que quedó todo muy claro y it seems everything's so clear, and I think as me, we are like surprised on how far can we go together on a plastic pack.
Thank you very much, Mario. Thank you, Carolina. Appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Bueno, con esto damos por finalizado el seminario de hoy. queremos seguir haciendo este tipo de webinars y es una parte de la promesa de valor del Pacto por los Plásticos. Estoy compartiendo en pantalla los datos de contacto para aquellas empresas comercializadoras que participaron hoy y que desearan tener más información del Pacto por los Plásticos. Estamos disponibles para poder hacerles llegar más información y poder formar parte de esta iniciativa colectiva que estamos en plena construcción. El lanzamiento fue a finales de febrero de este año y estamos precisamente construyendo esa hoja de ruta entre todos. Ya tenemos varias empresas, microempresas, emprendimientos, medianas, grandes, de toda la cadena de valor participando en la construcción de esa hoja de ruta y nos gustaría contar con muchos de ustedes también escribiendo ese futuro conjunto para Colombia. Muchas gracias a todos por su asistencia y quedamos en contacto para aquellos que deseen tener mayor información. Muchas gracias.